The Supreme Court struck down a New York gun law that puts restrictions on concealed carry permits. That ruling came as Congress works to advance the most significant gun reform legislation in decades. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. The bill's sponsors secured enough votes to overcome a Republican filibuster, moving the proposal closer now to a full vote on the floor. Fox 4's Stephen Dial has more on today's debate. Stephen.
15 Republican senators in the U.S. Senate joined Democrats in pushing that procedural vote forward. And now this means that a final vote on that gun reform bill could happen as early as tonight. Even though it's bipartisan support, Texas Senator John Cornyn getting heat from former President Donald Trump and other Republicans.
The motion is agreed to.
Nearly a month after 21 people were killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, the U.S. Senate cleared its final procedural hurdle, moving closer to passing the first bipartisan gun bill in decades. Texas Senator John Cornyn helped lead negotiations with Democrats.
Will it save lives? And I believe the answer to that is yes, and that makes this worth doing.
Here's some of what the bill would do: provide financial incentives for states that have red flag laws, bolster mental health and school security funding, and create a more thorough review of people ages 18 to 21 trying to buy a gun. The enhanced review for buyers under 21 isn't mandatory, but Cornyn thinks states will get on board.
Every state kind of does things differently, and there's no way we can compel the state to provide the information, but I would think that governors and state legislatures would want to work with us to try to keep guns out of the hands of people who we know are a threat to themselves and a threat to public safety.
The big question is, would these changes have prevented what happened at Robb Elementary? And the short answer is no. The gunman legally purchased 2 rifles at the age of 18. The bill would not raise the legal age. Texas also has no waiting period between purchases. Texas does not have a red flag law, so incentives for states that do empower courts to seize firearms from people deemed a danger to themselves or others would not have impacted this scenario. The bill would encourage states to include juvenile records in the background check system. In the wake of the shooting, Governor Greg Abbott said the gunman did not have a criminal record. There's also no way to determine if more mental health funding would have stopped the Uvalde shooter. And the bill does not touch items that are widely popular with Democrats, like raising the purchase age for any firearm to 21, universal background checks, or universal red flag laws.
This is not a cure-all for all the ways gun violence affects our nation, but it is a long overdue step in the right direction. It's significant. It's going to save lives.
Cornyn has been criticized by many in his party, including former President Donald Trump. Cornyn's fellow Texas Senator Ted Cruz called the bill misguided and a mistake, accusing supporters of trying to take away guns, possibly referring to a provision that would restrict access in cases where a boyfriend or girlfriend is convicted of domestic assault.
This bill does not infringe on law-abiding citizens' rights under the Second Amendment. It doesn't actually expand the background check system. It doesn't impose mandatory waiting periods or any other restrictions. There's a lot of misinformation.
And so what's happening right now, Democrat leader Chuck Schumer and Republican leader Mitch McConnell are working to see if both sides can agree on bypassing the normal rules and try to pass it tonight. If they have to do the normal rule, it would be a 30-hour waiting period, which means they would not be able to pass it until sometime tomorrow evening.